I'm gonna start streaming. And now we're gonna go live. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got we got to check. We got to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a live stream. Welcome. We're gonna be testing a few things for a little bit. RJ's gonna be late to the stream. He won't be on until about 10:15 or so. So I'm gonna eat up a little bit of your time. I know that I can have a talkative. Let's see what we got here. So let me make sure everything's good. So there's no loop back at the beginning like we did before. 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're here. So if whoever's in the chat want to chime in, going to be a little bit before we get into the show. But we've been talking about it all week. We have a really good show for you tonight. We have some really good information for you tonight that you're going to see that no one's ever seen before. The only people that have ever seen it are going to be the Las Vegas Metropolitan PD. And that is it. Nobody else. So we're going to just wait for a few people to jump in. Then I'm going to start the show. I'm going to kind of take up your time for about 10 minutes or so. And then RJ's going to jump online and we're going to go through the documents because all credit goes to him because he's actually gotten the documents. Hey, what's going on? Gino, welcome. Jamar, good to see you. I tried to catch you in the last live stream. I thought I was going to catch you in the last live stream, but I think you're probably working or whatnot. So, anyways, what did y'all think about the show last week? And just to let you know about the show, I don't want to get scatterbrained here, but what we're going to be doing is so that you don't have to come to YouTube and check out the live streams and, get to the point that you want to listen to that most interests you. We're going to put the live streams on Spotify. So they'll be on Spotify and they'll be on iTunes. So you can basically listen to them in your car rather than having to, have YouTube on. Then, of course, you can't turn the power off unless you have YouTube Premium, which I don't. But I want to just say thank everybody for being here. Sports haven't seen you in a long time, but welcome here to the chat. So, like I said, about 11:15, RJ's going to jump on. He's going to give his opinion on the documents. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure all the levels are correct, make sure everything's good. And then we got a treat for you. And I'm just going to let you know that, and I don't think that we've mentioned it, but there's probably about, I want to say, 1,300 unseen documents. And it's not in comparison to what the FBI released with the whole JDL thing. And I think that when people don't really understand is that when the FBI was pressured to put something out, they didn't want to put any significant information out. And that's why they put out that JDL information, because it was basically, depends on if you believe it or not, okay? But in all honesty, it was nothing near the truth. I mean, there may have been small tidbits of information that was relevant to Tupac Shakur maybe getting threatened or extorted by the JDL. But as far as it being a more elaborate plot, it wasn't there. It's just something the FBI released so that they could basically satisfy the crowd, so to speak. So these document drops from Las Vegas is not for a people satisfaction. It's for, they were pressured into doing these things by certain people. And I'm not at liberty to tell you where RJ got these documents, but I've been looking through them. Great information. And I think it's going to come out, in time, because there's just so many things. But a lot of your questions are probably going to be answered tonight, and you're probably going to say, man, finally I get an answer to my question that I've always had about this, that, or the other. So I'm going to play the intro music. I'm going to go and put myself on mute for about 2 minutes. I got to just get some stuff going, and then we'll jump in the first segment, and this will be without RJ, like I said, until he gets here. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro music, put it on pause for about 2 minutes, and I'll get right back to you. If you have any questions on the forefront now, you can ask them, and then we'll certainly get to them when we get to them. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on mute real quick, and then I'll be back in about, give me 1 minute, and I'll be back. All right, I am back. So we're going to lead off, I'm going to lead off into the first segment. This is in no relations to Tupac Shakur, but there is some parallels there when it comes to finding justice for people. Simply, sometimes people, and when I say people, meaning judges or even grand juries, decline to bring somebody to justice based on their biased opinions on people, and basically there's a lot of social injustice that's out there. So first segment, you're going to recognize it right away, and we actually had on the podcast, there's a artist by the name of King Third, and you've seen him in the chat rooms. He's an independent artist. He had a great song way back when, very relevant today, controversial, but you know, if you're going to bring it out, then you're going to bring it out. Whether the truth hurts or not, people need to know it. So anyways, next song coming up is King Third. It was on Spotify. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it right now. Listen to the song, 3 minutes, give your opinion, and then we're 8 minutes away, potentially, from RJ jumping on. So stand by.
Look at me and then look at them. I guess it's better to prejudge than me to get beat up because of my black skin. I can't win. 13% of America was black, but 23% of the murder was black. At the hand of police, I can't believe these are facts. In the streets, there's a beast and a target on my back. Ray Charles can see it, Stevie can feel it, Obama can speak it, while GOP sweeps it under the rug, cause they don't care about us. Like MJ said, that's why they wanted him dead. And Malcolm X Martin got killed by the feds. I probably got wiretaps under my bed. I'll probably be murdered for the things I said, or play me like I'm crazy, like it's all in my head. But don't shoot, I can't breathe. I got electric eyes on me. I ain't a thug, there's no drugs, and I ain't got no guns on me. But now I see, black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter the most. Is why they shatter our hopes. Is why they scatter like roach when they hearing our quote. Just because I'm young and black don't mean I'm slanging no dope. Some are highly educated while you want it with soap. Me, police brutality, wanna blame it on the media. All lives matter, though why you acting so remedial. Unarmed black man killed by that man, but you won't stand up or put your hand up. It's sick. Look what they did to Mike Vick. 2 years for some dogs with every gun they can't get. No type of justice or no type of loving. No type of jury, and Trayvon is a thug. And Oscar Grant get shot in the back, and they did the same to Mike Brown and Freddie Gray. It seems to me we can't get no respect. You can kill a black man, but not no pet. Don't shoot, I can't breathe. I got electric eyes on me. I ain't a thug, there's no drugs, and I ain't got no guns on me. But now I see, black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Shoot me down. Shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down.
All right. So that's a song by King Third, Black Lives Don't Matter. So we thought it would be appropriate to start the live stream with that, just because if you follow the story here, there's some serious injustice there. So you had two gentlemen, if you don't know the backstory, you had two gentlemen that were in a neighborhood that had been getting burglarized by individuals, and basically this gentleman here was jogging down the street, and these two guys pictured this dude, and they, I guess, figured they would go ahead and let me just go ahead and get this real quick, and then we will start. All right, all right. So sorry about that. So RJ's on the he should be chiming in here real soon. So anyways, backstory on that: gentleman was running down the street. Two gentlemen thought he was suspicious. They tried to engage him with guns. Basically, if you're running down the street, you want to be unmolested by people. You don't want to be stereotyped in any certain kind of way. At least I don't. So anyhow, you would certainly say that this was definitely racial profiling is what took place. So basically, at that point, two gentlemen, one is sitting in the bed and the other one is, engaging with this gentleman here. Pulls out his gun, and this guy, I mean, of course, your first natural reaction for most people is to kind of, you're basically confused about why two guys are running up on you with a gun. So I mean, his first thought is to protect himself, and of course, he tries to defend himself. But when you're trying to fight against a gun, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that battle. So they shoot this guy. They shoot him in cold blood. Here's the saving grace for this case, okay, is that there was actually somebody who was filming this. So without any film, and that's the power of film these days. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. It is hard to be a criminal in this day and age. And the reason why, because there's cameras everywhere. So you think you're getting away, there could be a camera down the street. There could be a camera 2 blocks away. There could be a camera at a grocery store. There could be a camera at a convenience store. There could be a camera in the alley. You just never know when you're being watched. Anyhow, power of the filming would say and speak volumes about these two guys killing this gentleman who's running down the street senselessly. So they kill him, and here's the crazy part, is it took the grand jury 2 months, or a little over 2 months, to bring these guys in and charge them with murder. So for 2 months, they were reluctant to charge the two gentlemen that killed this gentleman on the screen in cold blood, because they used their biased confirmation to say, well, we know this guy. We know he wouldn't do something like that. But that's not the way it works. It doesn't work that way. So I'm going to go ahead and get RJ on the line here. and he's gonna go in and chime in, and then we'll get him on the line, and then we'll go ahead and pop him in here, and then he'll go ahead and speak on these documents here, and he's not answering his phone. Okay, here we go. So he's gonna be on the phone. This is what you get when you have the gentleman trying to get all the documents for you, so that you can go ahead and let's see here. We got you online, RJ. Can you hear me? Yo, let's see if we got you here. Let's go ahead and put you in here real quick. Let's go ahead and pop you in. Let's see what we got here. There we go. All right. RJ, can you hear me? All right.
Yo, Kazi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we got you online. We got you here. We'll go ahead and move you here. So we were actually at the beginning of this here, which was the first segment of the show, and that was going to be about this gentleman here that was gunned down in cold blood by two neighborhood vigilantes. So you're not gonna be on the screen for the first segment, okay? But you'll be on the screen on the second and third segments, because I didn't add you for the first one. But you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I can see him. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and give your view and give your take on this. I played the song by King Third. Great song.
Yeah. Black Lives Don't Matter. Good song. And appropriate. This hadn't gone down when we put that song up for the podcast. It was a song for its time. I think it's probably one of his best songs. And I told him so. I thought it was one of the most mature songs that he had done. So very happy with the song, and hopefully that he'll be on the show, maybe even chiming in himself here in a little bit. To indict this guy. And again, I think it's like you. I think that it's because this guy was a cop and he knew a lot of people, a small town. He knew the prosecutors, knew the DAs, and so they have to get over their own disbelief that somebody might have done something. Again, allegedly, because we don't know what he did or didn't do. The video pretty much speaks for itself. But there's a lot of predicate there that we need to look at in terms of Georgia law and whether or not there was an alleged commission of the crime, or that they were following the guy. Georgia laws are a little weird that if you witness somebody committing a crime, you have the right to follow them. I think it's for 15 minutes. I think that's what it is. And do effectively a citizen's arrest. And I think that's a real stretch for what I saw anyway. But opinions vary. I just think that it's the guy was jogging down the street, and you guys need me to chime up a little bit? Is that what you need to do? Turn up the gain some?
I'm turning up the gain right now.
Okay, right on. Very low.
Okay.
Dead air. Can you hear me now? Chime in. Say something.
I'm going up right now.
All right. Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah. So I'm going up in the gain right now. Can you hear it? Can you hear us? We're going up.
Still very low. Well, then there's an easy way to deal with that. No, I can't do that though, because my camera and my microphone are all kind of in the same genre there. Let's see if that works at all. Any better?
Yeah, it's better now. It's better now. There you go, guys. It should be better now.
All right. Well, and speak of the devil, wait a minute. So before we get into all this, I got to give you all a surprise, because I've been promising this for a while. But what I'm going to do right now is we got our special guest on the show. Just like when they bring out the former bass player, right, of the Beatles, right, the drummer. Here's the drummer. Say hello, everybody.
You just introduced me as Ringo.
I did. The Ringo.
No, you can't do that, man.
Hey, everybody. It is the one and only Jmix here with you all on the show. We thought we'd do a little reunion tour, just to remind y'all to remember how much fun we used to have when we do these shows. So, say hello to everybody. Tell everybody what you've been up to, man.
We moved out of Illinois a couple years ago, and we've just been living. I think it's awesome that I catch you and JMKAZE's content. It's something good to listen to.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good Tupac content out there, and you guys are probably 99.9% of what I listen to, so I really enjoy it. I just want to say thanks for that.
Dude, man, that means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Say hello, Kazi.
Yeah, it does. It means a lot. I mean, especially coming from you. I always viewed you as pioneer of Tupac content, and you had a lot of copycats that tried to come in and take your place. But in my book, you're still number one, man. Even though you're enjoying your life, and I actually can appreciate that you're living in peace now more than ever.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm so happy for you, brother. I've been telling everybody, you've been living your life, having a good time, but we definitely wanted to chime in and say hello to everybody. And Jesse, I still have very fond memories of the live shows that we did at one time. It was a lot of fun. And people have been asking over and over again, what's happening with Jesse? What's happening with Jesse? So it's been nice.
No, I know it. No, I'm just up here in my mountain bunker.
You have any plans to drop anything soon?
I was going through my hard drive because I was saving some files and looking up old bills. I keep everything on my hard drives, and I don't think even you realize, RJ, how much content that we just never put out. And shout out to RJ, because a lot of people don't understand that the driving force behind not just my channel, a lot of other people's channels, and even people that you would think aren't connected to RJ. RJ is content king. There's so much stuff, RJ. It's funny. I talked to you earlier, but you have some of the best unseen, unheard Tupac content out there, and a scroll through my hard drive the other day showed me that. So I think it's a real inspiration. You guys, keep talking, you keep putting out the show. It might just spark other people to get into it. So I'm not dead yet. I appreciate all the planning. But I don't know. There might be some more to come.
Well, I can tell you that, like I said, everybody asks about you. As you know, you are always welcome. You're a friend. Always welcome to come in and chime in and give us your 2 cents on whatever you want to talk about, dude.
No doubt. Well, what's slated for the show tonight? What kind of news are you guys breaking?
We got Kaz. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the Las Vegas documents that were dropped, and this is the exclusive because RJ has been doing all the hard work to get the documents, and there's going to be 2 bombshells that we already talked about on Spotify, but we're going to go ahead and elaborate on that tonight.
Yeah, and a third bombshell that we dropped yesterday as well. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the what it means for everything, and then finally talk about what's to come. I mean, what does all of this really mean? Is this a turning point in the investigation? Is this new information going to sway some people's opinion? Is it going to bust the narratives that are out there? I think it could be all of that. So we're definitely going to be chiming in on things and chat it up. And there's just stuff I haven't even gotten to yet, guys, that we're going to have on the podcast next week. So, Jesse, as always, man, just stay tuned. Keep up with us, man. It's always good hearing from you. Miss the live shows that we do. And, it's hey, feel free to hang out, man. I see you're on the board already. You're on the comment board. So,
I had a question for you there, RJ. Like, compared to 2 years ago, how do you feel the case going forward? Do you feel that there is still a chance to crack this thing? Do you feel that, compared to 2 years ago, where's your expectation level when it comes to more information getting out, or it possibly getting solved publicly?
Well, I actually, it went through kind of a doldrums, but I've been doing this 15 years, and what I notice is there's like ebbs and flows. There's where a lot of stuff will happen. There'll be a surge of information, and then things get quiet for a while, and then there's another big surge of information. I think that 2 years ago we had a certain batch of information that we're dealing with, but a lot of it leads to speculation. You try to prove your speculation, prove your theory, and all that. But this new dump of information that we're getting, I think, has the potential to really turn this case around and really tell anybody who really cares to know what is happening with the case, if it's dead, if it's not dead, if there's still life in it. I think there's a lot of life in it, and I was sharing with you, and I was sharing with some other people today, what the value is of this information, and yet what I have right now in my hands is maybe not even 10% of what we may be getting our hands on over the next month or so. And so this is the tip of the iceberg. I honestly think compared to 2 years ago, the volume of new information that we're getting, and of course, it's new to all of us. It's new to you, to me, to the fans, not new to the people investigating it. But what's interesting to me, Jesse, and I'll just come right out and say it, it's interesting that a lot of this information that we're finding out we're going to talk about tonight didn't show up in some of our more, more authored or more allegedly credentialed counterparts out there. Some of these things are going to be mentioned that, Greg Kading never mentioned them. He never mentioned it in his book, never mentioned it at any other time. Questionable whether or not he even knew, because if you knew some of this stuff, definitely be putting it in the book. And then, of course, our old friend, your friend and my friend, Kathy Scott, all this shit happened right under her nose. And everything we're talking about happened right underneath her nose. She was a reporter for Las Vegas Sun. She was on Assassination saying, I talk to them daily. I talk to the Vegas police daily. I know everything that's going on, and Kevin Manning lives across the street from my house. I know everything. Well, guess what? There's a few things that I don't think you did know, and I'm just glad that we were fortunate enough to get the information that we could break for the fans. So very, very excited about it. I think that we stand on the edge of a big canyon, and either we're going to be able to build a bridge across it or we're going to fall over the side. But either way, we're going to keep moving forward, dude.
Sounds good. Well, I did, full disclosure, I did talk to you earlier, and it's not often that I get pretty excited for new breaks in the case, but I'm really excited for what you have to tell everybody. And I just want to give a shout out to JMKAZE, you as well, Bandstore, everybody in the chat. Really looking forward to what you have to say today, and you guys keep it moving. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jess, man. I won't tie you up too much. I'm so glad that you came on. Thanks for spending the time with us, and hang out on the chat boards, man. Hang out, chime in. If you want to call in, just call me. You know my number. Just call in if you feel motivated to want to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Well, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to listen for a while, and I can't keep my mouth shut, so I'll chime in when you guys start talking.
Damn, Skippy.
Hey,
Okay,
good to hear from you.
Talk soon.
Good to hear from you, Jmix.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Well, Jesse and I we don't say bye, we say bah. That's our code for each other. We don't, because I don't like saying goodbye to people, especially friends. So we just say bah. That's about the end of it. So all right, so let me take a look here, because I always suck at when I'm not keeping current on the fan comments and stuff like that. So let me do our normal here, I can back this up a little bit.
Shout out to the 23 knuckleheads.
Shout out! It is shout out time. Hold on, I gotta my thing. I gotta pop it out there so I can actually look at it. All right, so let's see who's chiming in here. We got the knuckleheads piling in. I did not do a live on my channel to point people over here, but I'm hoping that we did enough with the video that I put up, and I promoted the live stream through that, so everything like that. So Gino Mooten, welcome to the show. Jamar Hatton, always. We have one. I tell him 6. What up? What's happening?
Sports Savant 23. We have some people. I don't know. Haven't seen some of these people before. Very nice. Getting some people on here. Get some new blood. I love it. Never Obey. Welcome to the show. Whiskey to Dawn. What's up? Daniel Hayes. The song was fire. I agree with you 100%. Third Degree. Very talented musician. And one of the guys that I wish could really get a good break. He does his own stuff. He goes and he mixes his stuff with a buddy of mine that I know, who's also a good dude. Bort, very nice guy. But he, Third does the music. Third does the singing tracks. He does the hip hop, the rap. He does everything, and it's good, high quality production value too. When we were doing the soundtrack for Tupac Assassination, Conspiracy or Revenge, and we really wanted to do a soundtrack. We actually had a lot of artists that submitted tracks for it, a lot of them. And I got to be honest with you, most of them were kind of like they'd put on their little, their little kid jukebox thing, tink tink a tink tink a tink a tink tink, and they would rap a little bit to it, but the beat was horrible. It had no production values. I mean, you got to imagine some of this stuff that we heard. I mean, honestly. But had it not been for that process, I never would have met Third Degree. And, his songs just stuck way above and beyond everybody else. So every chance I get to promote his stuff, I will. He's a friend of the show. And hopefully maybe he'll show up in the chat here and chime in for everybody. So, but again, like I said, I thought it was really appropriate that with Ahmaud Arbery, with that incident, that song just became more and more relevant. So anyway, carrying on here, Whiskey to Dawn, welcome to the show. Jmix, you heard from Jmix, the one, the only. How could you have a name of 4 letters? Jmix is the 4-letter word that all the other guys hate. Like Bomb First, Jmix is the 4-letter word that they don't whisper, they don't say. Let's see, Christopher Ball, welcome to the show. Easy, you missed Black Lives Don't Matter. You missed that song, but if you heard the podcast, you heard the song. So that's good. Realize says RJ the Snake. Oh, we have a hater in the house. Oh, here we go. Realize says, RJ, where were you in September 96? In September of 1996, I was one of 3 places. I was shooting the movie Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones. I was shooting the movie Starship Troopers, and I want to say it was definitely Starship Troopers in September of 96. And then after that, I went down to Rosarito, Mexico to shoot the movie Titanic with Jim Cameron. And if nobody believes that I was on it, I actually have video of me and Jim Cameron right next to each other talking away. So, I put that out there, but that's where I was. So whoever you are, Realize. I thought Realize used to be a fan. I used to remember hearing good things like that. R.I.P. Big Frank, definitely. But like I said, you can call RJ the Snake. Got haters, I suppose, right, Jay? Right there. Ugh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So, Band Store, welcome to the show. Justin Clark, welcome to the show. And Justin Clark said it, comment for the hour. No one is going to solve this case but independent journalists, just like Russell Poole said. You're absolutely right. I think that, I think that, let's see, we're going to view into that great. It says, Justin Clark said, great to hear about you guys patting yourselves on the back. Ooh, another hater. But and are we ever going to view any of that great content? Well, Knucklehead, that's what this show is about. That's why we do a podcast and then we do a live stream, because then we're getting ready to show some of the things, that great content that we're talking about. So, and again, like I always say, feel free not to watch the show. If it ain't your cup of tea, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. Just don't torture yourself. If you don't agree with us and you don't like what we have to say, man, don't torture yourself and make yourself listen to us. That sounds kind of silly. A little self mutilation there for sure. So Bandstore, what is up? Gerardo, what's happening, brother? All right. So Bandstore says, I would love to know who Las Vegas considers a suspect, what kind of chronology they've assembled, and when and if they plan on acting on their evidence or leads. Me too. That's for sure. Yep. We had that. Let's see here. Bandstore says, RJ, can a FOIA application be utilized towards acquiring copies of some of the LVMPD cases regarding Tupac's murder? Yeah, they can. There's a trick about this, and we'll get into it a little bit before we drop into the information, stuff like that. Every state in the United States is different when it comes to requests for public information. We call them FOIAs. That's kind of the name that's kind of been generically given to when you want to get information. And every state handles how the public request for information that the government has, they handle it differently. They all have their laws, and no state does it like the other state. But what I've seen is that these states actually they fall into kind of two groups. One is like California, which is what we call a deny by default state, which is if you ask for information via a FOIA, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to tell you no. And then you've got to prove your case to them like they sit on their high horse on their throne, and you have to prove your case to them as to why you need that information. Case in point, when Frank Alexander died, I wanted a copy of the police report. I even got a judge to sign a subpoena for it. I gave a subpoena to the city of Murrieta, and their city attorney wrote me back a letter saying in spite of my having a subpoena, they didn't recognize it, and because they were police and they had privilege, they said, no, I couldn't have it. On a closed investigation, they ruled a suicide. I could not get a copy of that document. That's called deny by default. Now, Nevada is a different state altogether. Nevada is what's called a grant by default state. The Nevada government believes that the public has a right to know the information that's being produced by its government. They believe in the transparency aspect of it. So if you ask for a document for a public record, you should get it. For the police departments, if you ask the police department for information, I think they've got 10 days to give it to you. Or no, I'm sorry, not 10 days to give it to you. 10 days to tell you whether or not they plan to give it to you. And most of the time, your police departments still stick to that kind of deny by default aspect of it, because they'd rather just say no than try to figure out of 3,000-4,000 pages of evidence what they can give you and what they can't. So they do that, but I've heard that there have been people that have been successful sending freedom of information requests in the state of Nevada and getting information that you would never be able to get in California under a FOIA. So maybe it's good that Nevada is the state where some of this stuff is happening, because if we were up to the LAPD, all this shit would be sitting in Steve Katz's drawer at robbery homicide, right? Right, Kazi? I can hear you're a little muffly. No, you've been working this with me, dude. So it's always good to have the extra perspective for sure. So no worries or any of that. So let's see here. A little bit more. Boom, 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 boom. Now shut up and listen. Yeah, you're right about that. Stoner's LA says, RJ, can you expose the FBI agent that was following Biggie Nick Broomfield contacted during his documentary? Well, I want to say that was Dan McMullen, I think, was the FBI agent he was the one that was on the case for the FBI back at that time. I could be wrong, but I think that's the name that comes to my mind about that he was the guy that was on that, because they were very interested in what was happening in the drug trade. A lot of those gangs were drug dealers, and Biggie was hanging out with a lot of gang guys that were dealing drugs. So I think that has a lot. I think that has a lot to do with it. I'm pretty sure that's what that's about. So there. Okay. And Bandstore says, RJ, do you know if the LVMPD is considering Suge Knight's shooting an attempted murder case? I feel like there could be some judicial loopholes LVMBD could exploit in pursuing more evidence or a better, stronger case for Tupac. Well, when you're talking about the Suge Knight, the shooting in Vegas, I'm guessing you're talking about there. I mean, the case is still the Tupac Shakur case. I wish that they would have filed double charges as an attempted murder on Suge Knight, because when you're shooting at two people in a car, one got killed. The only difference between an attempted murder and a murder is that the person died. So there were two victims in that car. One was Suge Knight, one was Tupac. And, and no one can really take that away from either one of them. You could, whether or not you believe Suge Knight was part of it or had anything to do with it or whatever, he was still a victim because somebody shot at him. He was the recipient of an act of violence that makes him a victim. So, I wish that they had, because that's what I kept saying. I think we even said it in Battle for Compton. If you take away Tupac out of the car, take him out of the car, what do you have? Somebody was shooting at Suge Knight in his car. That is a pretty high insult. One of the documents that I saw, and this is just a little teaser of what's to come, one of the documents I saw, one of the interviews that Vegas Metro did with a fella, and of course the problem that is that this guy really had no first-hand information. He was kind of talking about what he had heard, was that there was a hit and a bounty put out on Suge Knight, and that the shooting was related to Suge Knight being a target. If they got Tupac, okay, but it was actually that. So we didn't make that up, folks. We did not make that up in Battle for Compton. There were people that Vegas police were interviewing that were actually saying, just like the word on the street is that Orlando Anderson did it, or the word on the street is that there was a gang war, the word on the street. In this particular case, the word on the street was that there was a hit out for Suge Knight. Okay, and probably next week's live stream, we'll probably put that out. We got to give the stuff that I'm working through right now is just hundreds and thousands of pages of documents. So much stuff to pull out there for sure. So okay, so Kazi, let's get it. Let's get to it. I can hear you. No, you're okay. I mean, I can hear you okay, but maybe I don't know if anybody else can. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's jump into the first scene. Let's head on in. Let's go. All right. We'll see. All right. Oh gosh, I gotta fast forward my stuff here so I could see what you're showing me. Oh, I still trying to get the technology part here. Okay, so this is what are we looking at here? Are we looking at the crime scene report? No. Right, there it is. Okay, yep, I get it now. Yep, okay. All right. I'm getting my feedback from you. I'm getting my loop back from you. Maybe that's me. Sorry, hold on. Okay, got it. Okay. Sorry, I had to do that. I had to mute myself because I sound terrible. All right. So, Kazi, what we are looking at here is what's called a privilege log. Now, what in the world does that mean? A privilege log is a list of documents or a list of items of evidence that a police department does not want you to have or does not want to make public for a variety of reasons. There could be a number of reasons why they don't want to disclose something. It could be maybe to protect a witness, maybe because it's part of the investigation. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. One reason is that maybe they don't want it's information that came from a different police department, and really it's not theirs to give out. So they just say, well, we're not going to because it was given to us. It's not ours to, was it? Oh yeah, that's true, huh? We could probably do that. I don't know. That's interesting. Kazi's not talking right now. I'm talking, but Kazi, talk for a minute. Let's see if we can get an audio on you. Technical problems.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can somehow do something on my end.
Yeah.
Let me see here.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Well, we're not getting any loop back, are we?
Try that now. Talk now.
Okay, I mean, I got microphone level, but the only thing is that just want to make sure that there's no echo and there's no loop back.
Okay, they're saying yes, fixed.
Is it fixed? We're good.
Hatton says no. I'm getting mixed.
RJ,
Oh,
RJ, don't adjust.
Don't adjust. Okay.
Now
All right,
there's-
so I turned it back
now there's a
down.
loop. So what's gonna probably have to
Okay,
happen
so-
is we're probably just gonna I'm gonna just kind of jump off and then just let you just kind of just take over on this one.
Okay, well, we still want. Well, here's what we can do too. If you want to just call me on the phone, maybe we can just talk on the phone too. So we can do that. You know. Oh wait, no loop back. Perfect. So, all right, there you go. Okay, beautiful. Okay, heard that. Good. Okay. Well, I guess we're fixed now. So good. All right. So what we are looking at right now, so you guys understand, is this is Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's privilege log, and they list them by binders. Guys, these are the Tupac Shakur murder investigation documents. And for obvious reasons, because I don't want the wannabes that have other channels that just like to pick off the carcass of shit we put out by trying to figure out where we get this stuff from, how we get this stuff. And I was foolish enough for a long time to be giving people on other channels tips on how to go get this stuff, and ended up they continued on, and then they wanted to be hating on me. So this time we're not doing it. We got the stuff, and we're just doing this. Now, Jesse's right. This has never been seen. Okay, this information has never been seen. Now, what they're doing, as you can see, is they're giving a list of reasons that they don't want to make this information public, and they give a list of what these things are: crime scene investigation, others reports, crime reports, things of that nature. Hang on a quick second, guys.
Anybody hear me? Anybody hear me out there? Anybody hear me? Hear me? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Sorry. I had the mic going, had everything going, and then
So ask now. Can anybody hear you now?
What about now? I'm gonna have to turn mine up. Go ahead, RJ. Go ahead and continue your thought there.
Okay. So what you've got here, you've got this privilege log. And it was because of this privilege log we started to see interesting things show up in the list of documents that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department had. So why don't we move on to the next card, because it's going to tell us a little bit something about it. All right, I always have to make my adjustment because it doesn't always update with me as quick. Hold on. There it is. All right. Property reports. Property regarding the MGM surveillance video. Now, how many of you guys out there, show of hands, have asked me at one time or another, does Las Vegas Metropolitan have the MGM tapes? Do they have it? Okay. Do they have the MGM tapes? Well, guess what? This document confirms that the MGM video is evidence, and it's maintained in the evidence, and they spelled vault wrong, but fault, the evidence fault. But that is where it is. So yes, I can confirm for you, and Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has confirmed that they do have, I would arguably say, all the MGM video. And I'll tell you why I believe it's all the MGM video in a minute. It's because what they had to do to get it. And but they have that. Now, obviously, and we talked about this in the podcast, Michael West, man, you just hit it right over the head and beat me right to it. The reason that this makes sense on a lot of levels is because, like I said, if they have all of the MGM video footage, that means that they have, ladies and gentlemen, the video of the bar that Corey Edwards said Orlando Anderson and he and Stacey Augmon, who was a basketball player, NBA player, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, they were at this bar. Orlando Anderson showed up after the fight and was complaining that his ribs hurt, but it wasn't a big deal, and said that he got jumped by Tupac and some of his guys, and they had a drink, and eventually Orlando Anderson left. I can tell you that if they have this video, and this video actually shows Orlando Anderson in the bar, that gives Orlando Anderson an alibi because it blows the entire timeline. Okay? Keith Davis didn't say anything about, oh, thanks. Yeah, Jamar Augman played for the Atlanta Hawks. Okay. Corey Edwards said that they were at the bar. Okay. Keith Davis never said that they went to a bar and met up with Corey Edwards and that they talked and Stacey Augman was there. I mean, Corey Edwards' statement's a little bit on the believable side. And the reason I say it's believable is because he put out names. First off, they all know that they're in a damn casino. They know that they're in a place where there's 1,000 cameras. You got to be an idiot if you don't think you're in a casino and there's not 1 million cameras looking at you, period. So I would never tell my wife, for example, that I didn't go to a casino if I went to a casino, because if she got a hold of the tapes, they're going to show me at the casino, because casinos have video. Been that way for years and years and years and years, even since like the 50s, they've had video. So they're going to be there. And Corey Edwards said, knowing that there were cameras, knowing that his statement was made under penalty of perjury, knowing that this was what he would get in trouble for if it wasn't true. Okay, because Vegas police would find out, right? You watch the video. If they're showing that bar that he said they went to, and for 2 hours there's nobody there but like the hostess or the guy playing the piano or something, there's nobody there, he's going to get in big trouble, because they're going to call him back and say, who are you covering for? Because you're lying about where you were, where Orlando Anderson was, what were you guys doing after the fight at the MGM, okay? But again, the other thing about it is that we know that they have that footage. And again, I hearken back to, and I put this out in the video the other day, when Brent Becker said to Orlando Anderson said to Brent Becker, when they did that circus of a gang sweep and tried to get Orlando Anderson, and Tim Brennan and Bobby Ladder pushing hard, they're throwing Orlando Anderson at Vegas PD, saying, this is the guy, this is the guy. Orlando Anderson says to Brent Becker, who's one of the lead investigators on the case, he says, am I being arrested? And Brent Becker says, arrested for what? Okay, arrested for what? Okay, so if you're going to make a comment like that as a cop, you better be pretty sure that, and they didn't arrest him, they didn't charge him or anything like that. And believe me, if Corey Edwards had lied about the incident being at the bar and all that kind of stuff, they would have brought him back, because clearly if he's lying about it, he's covering for somebody. And if he's covering for somebody, they're going to want to know who that is. So not only do they have the fight, but they have everything that happened up to the fight. They know when everybody got together. And my guess is, because again, the footage that we've seen publicly was shot from a couple of different angles and what they call the roving camera, where there's 4 cameras, but because a security guy can't watch 4 monitors at one time, it rolls back and forth between the different cameras. Does that mean that each camera only got that portion of the film? And the answer to that is no. It's just roving back and forth between those 4. That was the footage that I think David Kenner released to try to get Suge out of his criminal indictment for the beating. And I still can't figure out why they didn't charge Buntry and everybody else with that as well. I still don't understand that. But anyway, the net of it is that every one of those cameras that they change the angle every 5 seconds, every one of those 4 cameras is taking video of its own and probably also recording its own live feed. So there are going to be many, many more angles and information that when you and I saw the camera move off to the hallway where it was showing the courtyard and then it went to the hallway, the other camera shows that courtyard nonstop. So if there's anything that happens in that courtyard, it's going to be on constant play. But like I said, they do that rolling where they go from camera to camera to camera, because every 5 seconds or so, it allows one person to look at one monitor and not 15 monitors, and they just roll through it every 5 seconds. So we can confirm you, this is a news thing. This is a confirmation that Las Vegas police does have the MGM video footage, okay? Now, somebody just asked, very sharp eyes there, who said that. Was that Yafufullah Gaddafi's name at the top? Yep. Okay. Yeah. So you know, we know that Yafufula gave a statement to the Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. We got that back in 2017. Jmix did a great video about that. Go check it out on the Jmix channel. Gaddafi's statement to the Vegas police. And remember, Gaddafi's the one who said that he could identify the driver. He's the only person in that entire entourage, or from what I'm seeing in the other Vegas police files, all the other witnesses that were interviewed, there's only one person who could say that they could actually identify somebody, and that was Gaddafi. And look what happened to him. Okay, but Gaddafi said that the shooter, when everybody else thought that it was a dark black-skinned male and all that, Gaddafi's the one who said no, the driver was a light-skinned black male who was very soft in the face and, according to him, had the face of a bitch. Okay, that was what he said. So you know, that was smooth face, and he had to explain it to Vegas cops. Like, what do you mean by that? And he had to explain it to him. But the video's out there already. That was not a revelation there. But yes, but now you can see that this information is what they're listing and why they want to hold it. Now you'll notice where it says Yafufula, there isn't a number next to it. Where it says MGM, can you go back a slide, Kazi? Can you go back one to the card before, where they gave the reasons for the different codes there on that log?
Yeah, we're on it right now.
Okay. So what is 5? What is 5 equal there? 5 is evidence. Evidence. Okay. So the reason that they don't want to give up the MGM video footage is because it's evidence, and that's the reason that they claim privilege. Now, the reason that this is put together is because ultimately a judge has to decide whether or not that's a good enough reason to not give it to the public. Because again, like I said, it is a grant by default state. So that we get that opportunity to see that information, and the police have to put this together because they have to justify to the court and to other people and to the public why they're holding onto this information. So let's go past that. Let's go to the next card after the MGM one. And that's pretty big now that we know that. So that confirms, everybody can stop asking me now, do they have the footage? Yes, they do. Okay, right on. Okay. Tab number 12 is probably the single biggest revelation that came to me. This is brand new. You are hearing this first. Okay. This is a JMKAZE and Jmix for honorable mention exclusive, that there was a grand jury convened in the Tupac Shakur murder investigation. Okay. What does a grand jury mean? Well, a grand jury is a group of people that are empowered by the state to make an indictment or make special requests based on information and evidence that's given to them that extends beyond the scope of what a prosecutor might be able to get. They have the authority by the courts to issue subpoenas that are of the highest priority, that companies don't even mess around with. When you get a grand jury subpoena, you give it over. And if you notice, the grand jury subpoena was for the MGM video. The grand jury subpoenaed it. Now, a grand jury is made up of 12 people, and they're convened, and they're usually taken from a pool of about 50 people that they go in and they challenge. The cops can't convene a grand jury. Only the prosecutor for the state, for the county, can convene a grand jury, can actually request that a grand jury be convened. And that case is given to the cops, or given to the prosecutor by the cops, so that way the prosecutor is the one that makes the case and asks the grand jury for either an indictment or asks them for subpoenas. And they have to give clear and compelling evidence and good probable cause reasons why they need to have the information that they're seeking. Okay, so in the example of the MGM tapes, they're saying, hey, you know what? There's a related incident. It may be related. It may not be related. We can't tell right now because we can't see. And also, there are witnesses claiming that things happened at the MGM afterwards that might establish an alibi for a person of interest. So we need to get those tapes, and MGM was probably not really excited about wanting to give them to anybody for fear that they might do what the LAPD does and just leak it all over the place and give that information out. Okay, so the at the end of the day here, and again, this is I say this is the biggest news. Everybody, and I'm included in this, everybody needs to take a giant step backwards and give Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department that much more respect, guys, because what they were able to pull off, a grand jury, to convene a grand jury, get 50 people in there, you got to challenge and question every one of them until you pick your jury for jury selection. Any of you have had to go do jury duty, you know what I'm talking about. They pick those people out, and then they spend days in a courtroom going over all of this evidence and all the information and witness statements and all that to get a grand jury empowered to issue subpoenas to go get more information. Sometimes they can issue an indictment, okay? That this is something here that is, this is not a small tool. It's a tool of the prosecution, the grand jury is, but it's not done every day. It's done in exceptional circumstances because you can imagine the amount of days and weeks that are tied up, not in just the presentations, but all the court paperwork, and then you got to, reserve the room and pick the jury and get people in there, and then you got to hold it in front of the jury. They have to debate and weigh the decisions, deliberate, I guess, and then decide what subpoenas they're going to give out. Maybe they'll say, well, we don't see enough information here that helps us decide to get a subpoena for that. One of the things the grand jury subpoenaed was Orlando Anderson's medical records at Sunrise Hospital. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can check my math, I think Sunrise Hospital is also a hospital in Las Vegas. And if it is, I can tell you the likely reason Orlando Anderson went to the hospital was because his ribs were broken from that altercation. And he finally went to the hospital. He's not going to go to UMC because that, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily like him there. And, but Sunrise Hospital, I think, is the other hospital in Nevada. It might be, it could even be like down in, what's that town? It's a town. It's a town south of Vegas, but it's on the Colorado River right there. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But there's a hospital there. So somebody check my math. No, not Lake Tahoe. No. It's south of Laughlin, Nevada. There's a hospital down in Laughlin, Nevada. It's about 25 miles south of Vegas. And I don't know that that's what it is. But hey, you guys go. Somebody jump on the internet and go look at it. Okay. So and Jmix is 100% correct, okay? Guys, knuckleheads, all you guys out there right now, think about this. Oh, I know everybody. Kathy Scott saying, oh, Vegas police, they were talking to me daily. I was with the Las Vegas Sun. They were talking to me daily about it. And Kevin Manning, the lead investigator, he lived right across the street from me, so I was getting information all the time. Oh, I didn't see it in her book. Maybe Jmix could tell it what revision of the book she's on now, and even though she's done like 5 revisions of the book or 5 editions of the book, definitely not, didn't catch this one. Sorry, sweetheart, didn't get it. Didn't bother mention a grand jury because, again, that's not a minor thing. That is a big freaking deal that a grand jury is convened. And so funny, I don't think Greg Kading ever mentioned it either, did he? That there was a grand jury convened. You know why? Because nobody knew. Vegas police got over on everyone on this one. Nobody saw it. Nobody recognized it, but they were on their fucking job because that's what you do in a case like this. You go get a grand jury. You get the power to subpoena. You do whatever you can to get the evidence that you need to solve a case. Okay? Kazi, any thoughts about grand juries? Yeah, the retro dated version, the throwback version, if you will, for it, So ultimately, yeah, I know, me too. Gerard says, I wish I was on that jury. Yeah, me too. Been very interesting because, again, it's not like you just go down to the court and you say, I want a grand jury to give me a subpoena for this. That's not how it works. There's a whole big freaking process involved in it, a whole thing involved in it. So the fact that they were able to do this under the radar, where the vigilant Kathy Scott was staked out with their little Sherlock Holmes pipe and the hat on backwards and looking around for clues with their big magnifying glass, that looking for snooping for clues. Secret sleuth couldn't figure that one out. Okay, never caught it, never saw it coming. Well, I never knew about it either. Kazi didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. But it shows to me that they took it seriously enough to go get a grand jury involved. So this was not something that was just lightly done. And they got the MGM tapes as a result of it. So that is a big, big deal. We got two big things. MGM tapes, they got them. Grand jury, they did it. And I would love to know what else came out of the grand jury indictment. But I think that that kind of leads us to the other big news, which wasn't in the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. It was actually a letter that was written by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And Kazi, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did you load up that letter, that shot of that letter? I do. I do. I do. I do. I would encourage you guys to go look at it. You know what? I'm going to do that. Hang on a second. I'm going to go, hang on a second here. Bear with us, guys, while we do this technical bit of wizardry, that we do so well. Because I want you guys to see this. And meanwhile, while he's going to be loaded up, I'll take some questions and we'll talk to some people about it. So let's look at LVMPD. All right. And we're going to attach this. All right, let's see if I can. There it is, right there. All right, it's a JPEG coming your way. Fuck it, we're doing it live. That's right, exactly. Fuck it, we're doing it live. All right. So anyway, let's see. So while you're loading that up, I just sent that over to you. So while you're loading it up, let's take a look. Let's go back over a little bit for a minute.
Yeah,
So hold on a second. Okay, leave.
I think I made a mistake. Miss Rosie made a mistake.
No, Miss Rosie didn't make a mistake.
They put the book in your office.
All right. I did. Sorry about that. Okay. There it is. We had a special guest star in that live stream. That was my son, who decided to chime in on the thing. He's very upset right now because we bought him a book, and then we hid it, and then we can't find what we did with it now. So we're like bad parents of the year. He's very upset about that. So we'll have to deal with that in a minute. Anyway, let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Let's see, who else do we have jumping on the show? Because I know we got some more people coming on too. M. Denal, welcome to the show. Let's see, and Jamar, I said welcome to that. Gerardo, he's popping through all this stuff here. It's Vegas. Okay, so Whiskey to Dawn, kudos to you. Sunrise Hospital is in Vegas. Okay, so that means that they petitioned the grand jury to get Orlando Anderson's record from Sunrise Hospital in Vegas. So let me put this out to you all because you're very smart, and I ask you guys just to keep your minds open for a minute. And I tell you this. Keith Davis says that Orlando Anderson was crawling all over the place across the car trying to get over to get a shot off to go shoot at Tupac and Suge. That's what Keith Davis puts out there, okay? And we all know how credible he is. But he puts it out there. My question to you is if he really had broken ribs and he was really beat up bad to where, right after the fight, he's got some adrenaline so he can talk to the cops. But then when you sit down, anybody who's ever had broken ribs, I have, anybody who's ever had that, sometimes it takes a few minutes for it to kick in when the pain really sets in. Sometimes it didn't even happen until the next morning, but you feel it then. And my question is, how do we know that Orlando Anderson's injuries from that, Buntry doing the 50-yard field goal into his ribs, how do we know that didn't hurt him sufficiently where he was actually not physically able to do the things that they claimed he could do later on? I mean, he may have gone to his hotel room and just laid down and went to sleep because he was so banged up. Okay. No one has an account. Okay. Do you? Okay, good. All right. So, yeah. All right. So let's do that. All right. This here document was sent by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department dated April 27th of 2018. And this is in response to somebody who was requesting some information, and I want to read it to you verbatim. Dear Mr. Irwin, I am in receipt of your letter sent to my email address. I am very familiar with the 1st of October public records request and the proceedings that have occurred. As you should know, a district court order is not precedent, should not be cited as an authority, and is not binding other than the case. For your information, LVMPD is appealing this judge's orders because apparently they went and they asked for some information from the judge. And he goes on to say, regarding the application of the public records law and its exception to the Tupac Shakur murder investigations, I may not have been as clear as I could have been in explaining the public policy justification for non-disclosure of the investigation file. LVPD's interest in protecting the investigative file is to avoid interference with the investigation of the murder of Tupac Shakur, which the LVMPD is actively pursuing. Again, I'm reminding you, this is not 1997. This is April 27th of 2018, not just 2 years ago now. Okay? Disclosing the investigative records may alert persons of interest or possible suspects of the investigation and investigative leads, which could cause the destruction of or concealment of evidence or other circumvention of the investigation. Now, I'm going to read that yellow part again, and I'm going to stop. Disclosing the investigative records may alert persons of interest. Now, I'm going to let that sink in for a minute so you all understand exactly what that means. Well, if you're dead, you're certainly not a person of interest, are you? Okay? And you're not, how can a dead person be alerted to anything in 2018? Okay? What they're saying is the reason they don't want to give up the records and they don't want to give up the evidence is because they're afraid it's going to alert somebody who is alive right now. Not 10 years ago, right now. And they're afraid not only will it alert that person, but that person can then go out and destroy evidence or conceal evidence or circumvent the case, maybe by witness tampering, maybe by trying to get ahead of it and talk to some people before the hammer falls. These are all things they can do. So what does that mean? And if you guys can't, I mean, I hate to say it, but if y'all can't see the writing on the wall on this one, this is big. And you know what? Guess what, guys? Commentary from Jmix. Talk.
Hey man, what's up? I've been enjoying the show. Sorry to interrupt it, but hey, maybe for everybody watching, can we summarize what's going on? So I'm looking at these documents. I'm seeing all these documents, right? It looks like we have a list from the LAPD, or I'm sorry, Las Vegas Metro Police Department of what they have. So could you, just for the crowd watching, could you explain what exactly we're looking at?
Oh, okay. Well, the privilege log is a list of all of the evidence that Las Vegas has, documents, tapes, recordings, witness interviews, all of that information. And what they have to put together is a report, in this case to the court. They had to report as to why certain pieces of information they thought should not be disclosed to the public. And that's so under each, do me a favor if you don't mind, Kazi, back us up to the first page of the log. And as you guys see this, again, what it does is it gives a list of the evidence that they have, the information that they have, each piece of information, whether that be something from another police department, a tape, a record, an interview, witness interview, photographs, whatever the case might be. They even have autopsy stuff in there. That information needs to be protected from public disclosure. Well, again, since Nevada is a grant by default state, which means that state of Nevada believes that it's by default the right of the people to get the information, that's a pretty easy argument. It makes it tough on the police, and they have to prove to the state why they need to hold this information and not make it public. See, so you have the log there. If you notice tab 2, you'll see some things there where there's different listings.
And then underneath the category that says privilege asserted, that's where they give one of those 9 reasons that they may not want to show that to the public or make that record public. So that's what that is. Does that clear that up, Jesse? Does it make sense?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to break it out for the audience. So this is the first time that Las Vegas Metro Police are actually acknowledging what they have.
Right. That's substantial. I mean, you know, when you think about how nobody has heard word one from these guys. Well, of course they haven't heard anything of these guys. These guys are running around convening grand juries and shit, and we're sleeping. We don't even know. Okay, they're working. Yeah, they're working hard.
That's a huge bombshell for me. Another one was the MGM tapes. Now we talked about the Corey Edwards statement at the bar, or you guys did better yet. What do you think else could be on those tapes?
I don't know. Well, it could be where was Orlando Anderson during the fight? You know, Kathy Scott said that Orlando Anderson was standing outside the courtyard and that he didn't have a ticket. Keith Davis said he had a ticket. Other people said he had a ticket. We don't know what he was doing. And so that tape would show when Orlando Anderson came into the building, where he went, all the time he was on property, followed him around. A little bit of that we got from the public footage, but it really does say they can take any person of interest they're looking for and track from the moment they walked into the MGM until the moment that they left the MGM and what happened in between. So if there was an event, and by the way, Keith Davis, I think, didn't he talk about going to the food court there? Yeah, they were going to go to the food court, or they were waiting at the food court or something. I can't remember that. Right. Well, I mean,
do you think this
presumably
is the possibility why they just completely blew off Keefe D as a suspect?
Well, sure, because if Keith Davis said in his statement to Greg Kading, I mean, and by the way, I didn't post it up there, but Greg Kading's interview with Keith Davis was one of the things that are in their log. Greg Kading's crew sent them a copy of the transcript from Keith Davis's interview. Okay? Big yawn, right? Big yawn on that one. No activity on it. Well, maybe it's because Keith Davis said they were all in the food court and they were waiting around. Maybe they've got footage of that food court and there ain't no damn Keith Davis in that food court.
Exactly. This is huge. I appreciate you guys streaming this. I'm sorry to interrupt your broadcast. I wanted to set it straight for the people watching right now that this is huge. Like, it's been a long time since I've had that, quote Chris Matthews, the shiver up my leg, but like, this is happening. You guys are breaking big news. So I really appreciate you guys streaming this.
Yeah.
One love to you both.
Yep. And thanks, man. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Peace out, homie.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, again, and now I want to take this information now, and I also want to go back, okay? And by the way, quick shout out, thank you for the donation, Gerardo, man. I appreciate that. You are appreciated. Thank you for that. I think called that a super chat. I think that's what that's called, right? When they do that. Super chat. Okay, well, that was a really super chat. Thank you. That was very nice. Most kind. The big thing here in all of this is that now let's fly back to the other side. They have all of this evidence and Vegas police doesn't want to give it up, including stuff they got from grand jury. But why don't they want to give it up, guys? Why is Vegas holding on to it? Okay, they've argued this all the way to the Nevada Supreme Court. I will say that much. But the reason that they say they do not want to share this information is because they say that disclosing the investigative records may alert persons of interest. Okay, well, you can't alert a dead guy. Okay, so if there's evidence out there, in my mind, that means that either the person of interest that they're referring to or persons of interest that they're referring to is not only alive, but may not know that they're a suspect, or they may have thought they were a suspect at one time, but thought that they beat the rap and that nobody's looking at them anymore. Okay? And it would be quite a shock if they found some recent information or some recent evidence that suddenly, I guess they really didn't. I guess they really didn't forget about me. They're busy fucking convening grand juries and shit. Okay, that's That's the sum of these three things. I mean, it's kind of like one just builds on the other, which builds on the other. But again, the big news, grand jury, I can hardly wait to see what else that grand jury came up with. And you better be damn sure I'm going to be collating through all these documents to find out what else did the grand jury look at and why. Because the grand jury is going to issue a subpoena. They have to be asked to do that by the prosecutor, and there has to be a reason why. And the reason why usually has to do with the case that they're pushing forward. Okay? Was Orlando Anderson's medical records necessary to prove that maybe he wasn't physically capable of doing the shooting because he was so busted up that he went home? He went back to the hotel room, like Corey Edwards says. Okay? Maybe he was physically incapacitated from doing the act that they accuse him of doing. We don't know. I don't know. But maybe that's a reason that they needed to get those medical records to find out why he went to the hospital. Okay, Orlando Anderson didn't live in Las Vegas. So if he went to Sunrise Medical Hospital, it's easily presumed that he went there when he was in Vegas. Okay? And he wasn't in Vegas for very long, from what I understand. So if there was a visit to Sunrise Hospital in Vegas, you better know it was during that time frame. And you better know nobody just goes to the hospital, especially if you're a suspect in a murder. Okay? You kind of avoid hospitals, you know. And again, like I said, I think he went to Sunrise Hospital because he was going to go to the other hospital that was not the hospital where Tupac and Suge had been taken. Okay? So there's a lot there. And then to me, the key to all this, and it's on Las Vegas Metropolitan letterhead, it's right there. We're not giving up the information because it's going to alert somebody that doesn't know we're looking at them or doesn't think we're looking at them. And that's right from the horse's mouth. Read into it what you may. You could go on for hours about it, but I have thought about it, and I have thought about it, and I can't come to any other conclusion other than that is what the letter says to the word. Pretty big, guys. Pretty big. Well, I'll give a little teaser. Next week's live stream, we're going to talk about some evidence that is in the Metropolitan Police record that may piss a little bit on some people's public statements regarding events that happened on the night of the shooting itself. Okay, so I will put that out there, tease it a little bit. The part of the reason I'm not just mentioning is because, again, like always, we do our freaking homework. We do our due diligence. We go out there and we look for documents. Okay, this kind of information. Are you getting this stuff from Kading? Are you getting this stuff from Kathy Scott? Who are you getting this information from, guys? Who's bringing it? Over the last 10 years, 15 years, Tupac Assassination 2, Battle for Compton. Okay? These movies bring out new information. You are always learning something new. And like I told Jesse, from time to time, there's ebbs and flows. There's periods of feast and there's periods of famine. And so there are ways that waves of information that come in, we ride the wave. This is a deluge of information. This is a flood of information. And so it's going to take us a lot of time to get through a lot of the stuff that's coming in. And like I said, I've just scratched the surface of what I'm looking at. But I definitely think that these are things that are of concern. Hang on a second. Your thoughts on this, Kazi, for a minute. I need to run and address something for a quick second.
There you go.
All right. So we've been running a little bit long, but so I want to wrap this up. You know, we have so much information, and you know, we could. I mean, Kaze, if you want to hang out for a little bit and answer some of the questions of some people, I know you know this stuff like the back of your hand, so it's certainly no problem there at all. Okay. Let's see here. Shine Masogi, welcome to the show. John Walsh, welcome to the show. Let's see here. We got, gosh, we got a lot of people chiming in here. This is good to see, man. A lot of positive information. A Bandstore says, RJ, any evidence that anyone in LVMPD is actively engaged with the case, or do you think they are convinced as to who the killers are, but avoiding a prosecution because it's too exhaustive or expensive? No, I actually don't think it's either one of those. I actually think, Bandstore, that the reason that I think they are working the case, but I also think that once you've set your case up a certain way, your case may be strong enough to take to a jury or to take to court and prosecute, but may not survive some challenges like witness and confronting witnesses and things like that. So what they do is, you know who it is, you have everything set and ready to go, but maybe you need that one more piece of evidence that might fall into place, that one last part that would just push it over the edge. And you could say, well, we could go right now with what we have, and I think we've got enough, and we can go. All this stuff, either circumstantially or directly, says this. But then, on the other hand, do you want to do that and run the risk of losing it, where right now time is on Vegas PD's side? You know, all these clowns are fighting with each other these days. They're all shitting all over Snoop. The other day, they were shitting all over the Outlaws. The day before that, they were shitting on every. These guys go and they fight each other. And that's when the information comes out. And one time, somebody's either going to get pinched. Russ Poole believed this. Either somebody's going to get pinched, or it's going to be a deathbed confession. There's going to be some piece of evidence that will take their case and just push it right over the edge. Okay, to where it goes under its own weight, and they really don't have to push it. Maybe right now they're feeling like they got a strong case, but they have a great case. All they have to do is wait, because there's no statute of limitations on a murder. So they may have it all packaged up with a nice little bow on it, and they're waiting to fill out the gift card to so and so from Vegas PD. Here's your indictment. So I don't think they think it's too exhaustive or expensive. They went to a fucking grand jury. That's exhaustive and expensive. Okay, they went to a grand jury. That is exhaustive and it's expensive, because you tie up court resources, you tie up the prosecuting attorney's office with all the paperwork they got to do. You tie up the investigators who have to go to the grand jury and testify in front of the grand jury as to why they're asking for the information they're asking from. So I don't believe that. I mean, shit. Everybody thought Vegas Police wasn't doing anything. Suddenly they're doing grand juries. So I don't think they're too worried about whether or not something's exhaustive or expensive. I think, and I've said this for a long time, Jesse knows this, Kaze knows this, anybody who's been following, the knuckleheads all know this. I said time and time again, I think Vegas Police knows exactly who did it. I think they have a really good understanding of the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And all they're doing right now is making sure that they have an airtight case. And if you got to wait a few more years to get an airtight case, versus a case that is a wobbler where you got, flip a coin, maybe you win, maybe you lose. Dude, as far as I'm concerned, that's my belief. That's called jurisprudence. That would tell me that a good cop would like to have a great prosecution. A good cop may not want a good prosecution, okay? And that's why I don't understand why Greg Kenny's running around demanding Keith Davis be arrested, because how is that really going to help anything? He's the world's worst fucking witness you could get. Okay, he lies about all these different things. He's been caught in lies. He exaggerates other things, and he's pretty not credible guy. So arresting this, huh? Yeah,
he doesn't even know what's in his book.
Right. Well, exactly. And again, that's we'll get into him and we'll get into his stuff there. So anyway, that is the news for today. I'll let you guys sit, kind of mull over that one for a while. But we are we're putting it out there, guys. I mean, that's honestly, thank you, Jmix. You certainly didn't have to do the super chat. Thank you for doing that, man. All love. And yep. RJ, was that true when Vegas announced they were close to solving this about a year ago? Yeah, well, I mean, look at the date on the letters, April 27th, 2018. A year ago was April of 2019. So, they were saying in 2018 that they had people they did not want to alert. Sounds to me like you're pretty close to the case if you know who it is that you don't want to bother, right? So there you go. All right. Let's see.
Do you think there's any value to
No, I told you. No. The reason the reason that I say it that way is because, again, look at this letter. Okay, they're not going to say shit. Okay, it's not like the LAPD that takes something that you take to them in good faith, hoping they might investigate it, and they just leak it out the back door like a bad case of diarrhea. All right, they just shit out evidence. Okay, and they spoil it because they don't want it to ruin their narrative or ruin anything that might make them look bad. So they just shit all over stuff they don't like. They put stuff out all the time. A bunch of leakers. Vegas PD, you're going to contact that guy, and you're not going to get a response from them. You might get lucky and talk to him for 2 seconds, but he's never going to comment on an ongoing investigation. The very reason that the LAPD should have never have fucking leaked that confession letter is because they had a chance to do something about it, but when they leaked that confession letter, they knew exactly what they were doing. They alerted persons of interest. And then what happened? What's that? Yeah. Right. So they alerted the people that were mentioned in the confession letter who may have believed that thing was long gone 20 years, 15 years later, however many years later, 10 years later, that letter was long gone. That was old news. Nobody ever knew about it but Chris Blatchford, and it was never going to see the light of day. They took a deep breath and said, okay, well, that's over with. 15 years later, suddenly there's a knock on the door. There's some investigator asking them about the Tupac Shakur killing. They're not going to know why the hell this guy is there. But if you put out the letter and show the letter again, they go, oh, that shit. Okay, all right, well, all right, we thought the letter got away, but it hasn't. So, now we got to circle our wagons and we got to come up with something. Okay? Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Kazi, the devil is in the details, my friend. The devil's not in the broad strokes. The devil is in the details. Okay? And up until we had this information from Vegas PD, we really weren't sure what the details were we? I mean, not really. We didn't know from their perspective what it is. So I definitely, think this was a red letter day when we got this information. We confirmed the MGM tapes. We found out about a grand jury. Man, you better know we're going to try to push into that and find out what that's all about. And then the other thing is, maybe there's grand jury testimony from the detectives where they testified in front of the grand jury. That's all court record. It may be sealed right now, but it's definitely court record. There was definitely a court reporter there. They made transcripts. So the detectives had to explain why they were looking for these pieces of information. Why were the MGM tapes important? Why was Suge Knight's University Medical Center medical record important? Why was Orlando Anderson Sunrise Hospital medical record important? Why were these important to the cops that they had to empower a grand jury to demand through the court that they guys get this? Okay. So that, and JHot 24/7, welcome to the show, said, yep, absolutely no excuse whatsoever why one high profile case, but two can't be solved in 25 years. But that's not true. And JHot, I don't know, you maybe have just come into this show here, but honestly, no, I totally disagree with you because I don't think I think JHot, I think you came in late to the show. I respect your opinion, but I think it's a little misinformed because we just revealed that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department convened a grand jury, summoned a grand jury over this investigation that nobody ever knew about. It was a secret grand jury. So I can hardly say that they failed in doing things. I think that there's enough information that we've uncovered just today, just tonight on the show. And go back and watch the show again, because like I said, I don't want to disrespect your opinion, but I could tell that you probably came in late because we've pretty much been saying all along how much work Vegas PD has really been putting into it and why they don't want to give it out to anybody. And you don't know, again, and this is what I was just saying, you don't know that even though, yes, I agree with you that 25 years seems like a long time or 20 years seems like a long time to not have prosecuted somebody or quote unquote solved the case. Again, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And if Vegas PD wants to put an airtight case together against a person of interest, they are not going to take an iffy case and say, well, it's been 10 years, that's time's up. We got to go convince the jury, and it's maybe iffy, but hopefully we can get a prosecution. They're not going to take that chance of looking like idiots in front of a judge where they, did the Snoop Dogg thing and evidence disappears and suddenly they look like knuckleheads. This is the thing. They have that background. They know the experience. They know what happened when evidence disappeared magically from the LAPD evidence room against Snoop Dogg in the murder case. Okay. So these guys definitely know that. They smell what's going on. They also know that Greg Kading intentionally made a decision to hide evidence and not tell the Las Vegas Police Department about information that the LAPD was collecting. Okay. They made a decision not to share it. And that's in Greg Kading's book. Don't take my word for it. Read it himself. He withheld evidence from the investigating body, from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Why did they do that? Because they're assholes. That's what they do. And at the end of the day, again, I believe that Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is willing to wait 5 years. I mean, if you already have all the evidence and you have a pretty airtight case, and all you need is one more piece of evidence that'll lock it down, throw away the key, it is over. You going to wait a year? Will you wait 2 years? Will you wait 10 years? If there's no statute of limitations on the prosecution for a murder, are you willing to give it time to make sure the case is airtight versus rush through it, slap something together, kind of take them as far as you know, if you know that maybe one more piece of evidence or two more pieces of evidence may be on their way over time, depending on who you think it is, that information may become clear later and you have an absolutely airtight case. You could throw these guys away, lock them up, throw away the key. Okay? But they're going to do that. And that is, I think that's the most important part you can take away from everything we talked about today. So. Yeah. So anyway, I didn't catch the comment. Thanks for Thug for Life. What up, RJ? What up, Thug from Melbourne, Australia? Good day, mate. And we'll see. What else have we got going? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more can I say without repeating myself here. But we've gone a little bit long. I like to always keep these things to about an hour or so, but we've gone really long on this one, for sure. I don't want to turn into the 4-hour chat fest. But Kazi, fantastic job putting this together. Thanks for being there to help me get this information out there. I can't do this without you, literally. Jmix as always, bringing the truth. Jmix, and I knew of Jesse when I did even Assassination 1. He was on the Tupac Nation boards. He was moderating the boards, a lot of chit-chat and information. We were getting scuttlebutt. We were hearing about the movie and about during the times that we were making the movie. He has been on the scene arguably longer than I have, and certainly has more knowledge than I do on many of these different things. So while I might be the Johnny-come-lately, and it may seem like that I'm putting out a lot of information and Kazi's with me, we're putting out a lot of stuff, and this flood of information has come in, and I'm telling you, bigger bombshells are on their way. I've already read them. I need to process them, figure out how I want to present them, and boom, you guys have it. But Jmix was digging it and doing it back when at a time when there wasn't a lot of other people doing it. So major kudos to you, my friend. And let's wrap her up. I wish I could have gotten to some more questions. And what we'll do is maybe Kazi, I mean, it's up to you if you want to hang out for a little bit, but I have to jump because I got to go find a book for a little boy, and that's important. We can talk about dead rappers all day long. I need to go find a book for a little boy. We can't do it without you. Can't do it without you guys. Yay! What do you know? Very nice. Yeah, very nice. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm actually going to get some t-shirts. I've been teasing this for a while, but I may actually just pull the trigger and do it. Get the Knuckleheads shirt and start handing them out. Start giving them out to people for their for being part of the channel and helping move this thing forward. Because if nobody was listening and nobody was watching, we sure wouldn't have anybody to talk to, and it kind of wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So from on behalf of myself, Kazi, Jmix, and all the knuckleheads, want to say thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will catch you. Oh, by the way, real quick, I almost wrapped it up, but I want to say real quick, Kazi, I don't know if you got a chance to talk to him about it, but here's the schedule as we're making them now. You guys will be able to hear the audio of this live stream hopefully tomorrow. We want to try to get it out the next morning so you don't have to watch YouTube to hear the show and hear what we're talking about. It's great if you can see it, but if you're in your car, we're going to make a second podcast each week that'll be just the audio from the live stream show. So, because I think we cover a lot of stuff in the live streams that we don't get to cover in the podcast. I think you guys can hear that, and that way y'all can come back and relive it a little bit. You don't have to have YouTube sucking up all the bandwidth on your cell phone. If you want to play it in your car or something like that, you can do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put that out so you'll have a lot of information. You have the podcast on Tuesday, live stream Thursday, live stream podcast on Friday. So hopefully, that sounds tiring, man. That's a lot of work. Did I sign up to do all this fucking work? I don't know. I'm getting old. I don't know if I can do that kind of work anymore, But anyway, so we will catch you guys. You'll hear from us with the podcast. But until next Tuesday, I'm RJ Bond, and I'm for Mr. Kazi. Say goodbye, Mr. Kazi. Sounds good. Bless you guys. We'll see. We'll catch you Tuesday.
Damn. You're on the outside looking in. Look at me and then look at them. I guess it's better to prejudge than me to get beat up because of my black skin. I can't win. 13% of America was black, with 23% of the murder was black.